Hey all, how you doing? Just want to give an update for what I've got going on. So today is September 17th, 2021, and man, I tell you, the real estate has just been amazing. And I've mentioned in a past video that I'm reading a book, um, How to Manifest Money, and I think I even put the link and the name of the book in the video. And I really encourage you to read it. I mean, since I've been reading this, and I've kind of, most of these things that they're telling you to do are, you're unlocking your mind to think differently. You're seeing things differently. You're thinking differently. And before I ever read this book, I still had this same mentality. I mean, if you're happy and outgoing and a joy to be around and people like you, you're going to attract good things to happen to you. Now that is just fact. I mean, I've experienced that throughout my entire sales career. Good things have happened because of that. And so then when I read this book on, manifestation, it's the same thing. It's the way that you think, the way that you see things, the vibe that you give out definitely attracts certain things back. So, and I'm not going to say it's 100% that, but the home building industry is going great. Meeting with a number of new people, and I've seen a little bit of a trend, at least in my area here. The last 4 people that I have met with are all in their 60s, I would say mid 60s and older. And they're at a point in their lives where they're not as, one of the issues we're having right now because of what the building expenses are is just, somebody that inquires and they've got a budget of $450, which should be a great budget, but $450 doesn't really, especially if you need a lot in that $450. But let's just even take the lot out of it and say, the build cost of $450, and most people want it just, this is the average 21, 22, 2300 square foot ranch. That's the wheelhouse of what we build. So when most people inquire via online or phone call, that's what they're inquiring about. And it is really hard to actually make that happen for $450. The base price of a 2100 square foot ranch is well over 400, between 410 and 430 depending on the model. And realistically, people are adding $55 to $100,000 of extras on top of the base price. So if you've got a base price of $425 for the 2100 square foot ranch and somebody's adding $55,000 of extras, is kind of, I would say, like the minimum of what people are adding, because the base price of our homes does not include, it includes $2.50 per square foot for flooring. Well, that's not really going to get you much, so people are spending more than that. It includes a light fixture allowance of $850. Well, again, there people are adding to that. So $55,000 of extras on top of the base price is really what the minimum is that people are adding to the base price. But then if you're building in a neighborhood where you need to have cement board siding, now you're adding another 20 on top of that, so you're $75,000 above the base price. And then a lot of people want, there's other things instead of granite, that $55,000 of extras that I talked about includes granite in the kitchen. Well, a lot of people want quartz now, so that's a couple to a few $1,000s more. So it's very easy for somebody to get to $100,000 of extras on top of the base price. So if base price is $425 for 2100 square foot ranch, that means that the build cost is $525, and $450, a budget of $450 isn't even close anymore. So that's one of the issues that we've had to deal with. Now, with people that are retired, or they're getting towards the end of their retirement, they've got good jobs. I'm talking about the people who are baby boomers, in their mid 60s and up, 60s and up. Now they are a little more comfortably financially from what I have found, and at least the ones that that I have met with. So the price really isn't an issue. It's more about just getting what they want. And I gotta admit, I love that. I mean, it's so refreshing to not have somebody, the budget, and of course they don't want to overspend or go crazy, but that's not the first concern for them. It's more about, this is what I want, tell me what the price is, as opposed to, this is my budget, this is where I have to be at, and then this is what I want. It's so much more fun to have somebody say, this is what I want, this is what I want to do, tell me how much it is. It's just a much better scenario. And we've established ourselves as the type of builder that does the custom higher end stuff. So most of our clients are like that, which is a good thing. And really, when I do get clients that come in and are shopping with different builders, and the other builder gave them a price of this, and most of the time they're just not our people. We're not going to end up building for them. I'm not going to put in a ton of effort to try and win them over unless the market is struggling and I have to do that. But right now, there's an abundance of people and clients that are wanting to build. Now, again, when that changes, and it will change at some point, then I will have to go after more of those. And not, I don't want to say I will need to work hard. I would just need to pursue those ones more. I'll have to shift. You adapt with the times. That's pretty simple. You adapt with the times. Okay, so into real estate. So, man, real estate has been hot, and I've had a lot of vacant land stuff going on. And I mentioned in a previous video that I had an accepted offer on a 150-acre farm, and that to date, that was going to be my highest dollar amount property that I have sold. Everything is going well there. I do have, and I think this is something that sets me apart from a lot of other real estate agents, is I have the knowledge to be able to help people with rezoning properties or splitting their properties. Like in this case, this was a 150-acre farm, and the buyers that reached out asked if the sellers would be interested in splitting off 100 of the 150 acres because that was what their budget would allow for. And so a lot of realtors may really not know what to do there, but I've done this before, so the seller doesn't even have to do anything. I've told the seller that I'll handle everything. I've got a surveyor that I work with already, so they're coming out to survey the property. I know that the surveyor will need to redraft legal descriptions for the two properties now. So I know what to do in order to make that happen. So I can comfortably tell the buyer, as long as the seller's okay with it, yes, we can split it and I'll take care of doing that. So that transaction is going very well. That closes at the end of October. And then next week, I've got a 3.5 acre parcel that's closing and a 9.5 acre parcel that's closing. I've got a $600,000 home, single family home that's closing, and then they're buying another property once it's completed. And then yesterday, a home that we listed. This was a referral from a big property owner that I work with quite a bit. This was a friend of his, and we listed his friend's home. And I've got 2 full-time real estate agents, and Trey listed this individual's home, and then he mentioned to Trey that, hey, he's got another, he initially said like another 5 acres that he's going to want to sell. And so after going into it, now Trey has sold his home, it's closed, he's helping him find another home. They've had a great experience with us. Well, it turns out it's not just a 5 acre parcel, it is a 45 acre farm. And it's all just one piece. And because of the experience I have with splitting properties, we actually went and met with the family. So there were actually 6 family members that we sat down at the kitchen table. I printed out big plats of the land. We kind of went over ideas, but I'm basically going to be helping them to split these properties, because if they sold the 45 acres as is, if they just sold it as is, they would get about $450,000. They'd get about $10,000 per acre. But if you split the property up into 4 or 5 different, 5 to 10 acre parcels, and each one is selling for, we'll say, close to $200,000, well, if you do the math there's more money, a lot more money to be made by doing that as opposed to selling it all. And that's something that most people don't know. So that was something that we talked about, and now they're going to move forward with us. And so again, I'm going to help with these services here of getting the properties split. And then they even asked me in the meeting, so what are we going to expect from you? What are we going to owe you for this? You're not just doing this out of the goodness of your heart, which I might. I really honestly might do that just because we already dealt with them. They're a good family. But really, I said, well, I fully expect to list these properties once we split them up. And of course, everybody, all of the family members were like, oh, of course. You're helping us with all this. And I said, and just to let you know, I don't know of another realtor out there, and I'm sure there is one out there. I'm not trying to gloat here, but I said I don't know of another realtor out there in our market that would be able to do all this. To split these properties up, to help you go through the process of splitting them up through the village, working with the surveyor, working with a real estate attorney. That's just something that most aren't going to do. So of course they were cool with that. So the great thing is once we end up splitting all of these properties up, we'll have 4 to 5, $200,000 listings. And it's, I've always been, envious isn't the right word, but there's a local real estate company here, and they're based out of the next city over. And they primarily specialize in vacant land. So every time you see like a big, farm field for sale, hundreds of acres, 30 acres, big plots, that's always their sign there, and that's something I really love, vacant land. I don't know. I like that. So I like selling it. I like helping people buy it. And a lot of times they're big dollar. 100-acre property today is $1 million plus, if it's good tillable farmland. If it's developmental potential land, it could be double, triple that, quadruple that actually. $50,000 an acre is not a bad price for land that has potential to be developed into commercial. And if it's on the interstate, it could be $75,000 an acre. So there's a lot of good, potential there. So I've always seen their signs, and I've always said, man, that would be great to build our real estate company into that someday. And I got to say, I haven't looked at all of the listings that they currently have right now, but I had mentioned before that I have a little over $10 million of listings. And then once we split up these new parcels and we have another, we'll say, $800,000 of listings there, we got to be pretty much on par with what they've got as far as like the amount of land listed, the dollar amount of land listed. So I'm very happy about that, and it just makes me feel good. It's definitely a goal that I had, and definitely not there yet. And not that my signs are going to be replacing all of theirs, but real estate is networking. And once somebody has a good experience, this family is going to have a great experience with us, and they're all going to be able to have made much more money than they would have if they were just selling it as one chunk. So they are naturally, anybody else that comes about that has a property maybe similar to that, they're going to say, oh, you got to talk to these guys. And that's how things end up getting spread, basically, and that's how you end up getting other listings. This other real estate company that I'm talking about, that's kind of what their reputation is. I think most people in our area know that if they're going to be selling a large parcel of land, they're going right to this real estate company because they see their signs everywhere. They know that's what they specialize in, and that's what I want for us. So in addition to that, I've got a $6 million 136 acre property that is listed. It's close to the interstate, so we've got this listed at approximately $45,000 per acre. And we had an accepted offer on this property, and I might have mentioned this in a past video, and it ended up falling through because the buyer had their offer contingent upon a business that was going to lease the property from the buyer. So basically, this buyer developer was going to buy the property and then lease to a business. But their offer was contingent upon this business approving the property, because if this buyer developer bought the property and then didn't have a business to lease it to, then it probably wouldn't have made sense for them to do it. So they ended up backing out of the deal there. But now they're back. So while I was in my meeting yesterday with the family, and we were working on securing a great listing there, I saw a number come in, and I'm like, oh, that number looks familiar. I wonder who that was. I can't remember who that was. And then we got done with the meeting. I listened to my voicemail, and it's the realtor from this buyer. Hey, Jason, just wanted to let you know that the buyers are regretting not going through with the property, and they are interested in submitting another offer. So might be getting another offer until I have it in hand. It's definitely not something that I'm going to count as having. And because of the last experience, I'm not going to get excited about this whatsoever. So this time there are going to be less contingencies. It's not going to be contingent upon the business approving the property, so that's good for us, but it's still contingent upon them rezoning the property to the specific commercial zoning that they want. And there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. So until that happens and that hurdle has been crossed, and really, you know what, scratch that. Once that hurdle's crossed, I'll be very happy and hopeful and won't have any reason to believe that this won't close. But until it closes, there's no room to celebrate. Now, in addition to that, I have since made contact with another big land player in the area, and we did a little business together prior, and I didn't know that he was a big land player, but we got to talking about a month ago, and I kind of felt like he's somebody that would be interested in something like that if the situation was right. And so I called him and said, hey, look, I've got this developer that's going to be making an offer here potentially. You know, would you potentially be interested, you know, if certain circumstances worked out? He's got another property that is kind of on hold with a buyer, and if the right things happen with his property, he would potentially want to buy this property of mine. So how great would it be to have two buyers, and that means that one of the buyers is going to have a better offer. I mean, I would potentially like an offer with no contingencies. Now that probably won't happen when it comes to commercial, because if you're buying spending millions of dollars on a property, you need to know it's going to work for what you want it to work for. So that contingency is not going to go away, but besides that, one offer is going to be better than the other. So that's what I got going on. I'll keep you posted with all that. It's super exciting times right now. Yeah, I'll get back to you, let you know how everything's going there. I do offer real estate and new home building consulting service. I've got a course that I just put out if you want to build a spec home, everything from A to Z, getting financing to marketing and selling your spec home, and every single detail in between. So if you are interested in something like that, I'll have the details for everything that I just talked about there in the description below. You know, one other service that I have that I haven't really talked about much is it's kind of an online coaching consulting service, and what I'm going to be doing with it is I'm going to be lowering the monthly amount. So any of the members that are in there right now will get that same reduced rate. I'm going to do $50 a month, and what I offer, the main thing that I offer there, and there are some, I've made other videos that aren't on YouTube. I've got a lot of resources there, sample schedules, selections, forms, things like that. And I haven't been really putting new content as far as videos on there, but there's already a decent library there. And I will continue to put new videos and information up there. But the main part, the best thing about this is that every Thursday at noon, I do a live Q&A on Zoom. And so I'll post a link, before noon on Thursday. And if you're a member of the site, you'll get an email that, has the Zoom link, and then you can pop on, and it's an hour long. So, any questions that you have, we can talk on there. It's not the same as my other service that I offer for $100 a month, which is a 1-hour phone call per month. But, this is 4 times a month. For the most part, there are certain weeks where I can't do it, but for the most part, it's every Thursday at noon.